All right. Well, welcome to the Created to Win podcast. I have some incredible friends and guests today. They are all creative people. I love having creatives. I'm a creative myself. And so I just want to just go down and share what your name is and a little bit about yourself. Maybe, who you are, where you're from, and what do you do?
First is me?
Yeah, you first.
I'm Jack. I was on episode 2 of the Created to Win podcast. So anyone who hasn't seen that episode yet, I'm 23. I live here in Franklin. Known Brian here for how long? A couple months? Probably like 5.
Like at least 6 months.
At least maybe 6 months.
Yeah.
I own a podcast studio. I am a Christian, and I'm from Michigan.
Let's go. My first returning guest, by the way. So,
Yep.
Nice. How does it feel?
It feels great.
Yeah.
I love being back.
Okay.
Yeah. Even bigger setup than before. Yeah.
I'm learning.
It's my turn.
On to Joy.
So I'm Joy. Go by Aria Joy on Instagram for my art, which I'm an artist, and I do illustration. I have my own business called Mermaid Friends, where I design ocean-themed imagery and sell mermaid-themed stuff. I live here in Franklin, and I pretty much grew up here. So, yeah, it's a good city.
Love it. So cool.
I love that. Nice to meet you guys. As I just met you a few minutes ago.
Yes.
But my name is Candace Hawkins. I moved here 4.5 years ago for the job to work at Ramsey Solutions, and that's where I still am now.
Yeah.
I'm a product designer for them, but I started as marketing and graphic design and then moved to product. I am a passionate illustrator, artist, creator as well. Like any medium, just sign me up for it. I'm here to just learn and grow and see what God has for me to grow in those skills. I also am a wife to my husband, Zach Hawkins.
Yeah.
We got married a year and a half ago, and yes, very good guy.
He can throw down on the pickleball court, I hear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
you got competition?
I do.
No, it's friendly competition. No, all fun and games though, but yes.
So cool.
Excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I would love to start off with just kind of open-ended question. It's actually one of my favorite questions to ask people. It's a quote by Mark Twain. He says, "The 2 most important days of your life is the day that you were born and then the day that you find out why." So I'm curious, like, what do you feel like your guys' purpose is? I know it's kind of, we're going hot and heavy, but. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. Do you guys have?
I would think, like, the day you're born, like, just even going back to, like, God created you in your parents' womb, or in your mom's womb from your parents, and there's something special about, like, knowing who you are and your identity in Christ, and then growing and seeing who you are in Christ. There's probably so many nuggets in what my grandma calls God wink moments in your life that you're just like, wow, like, God, you've been with me, your love's for me, and I would say the moment when, like, you find out why is probably after baptism, because then you really are just fully committing to, like, yes, Lord, I'm all in for you and your mission. And from there on, it's just the passion and obedience of just learning who he designed you to be.
So cool.
That's what I would say.
Okay. I love that.
Thanks.
Oh, man. I guess, like, that's such a good, like, I feel like overview of, like, just the Christian faith.
Oh, thanks, Joy.
But I guess for me, like, personally, like, when, like, trying to figure out, like, my art journey and, like, what's my passion and stuff like that, I've always been just, like, a creative, and I've always loved telling stories and creating characters. And I was like, how am I going to be able to, like, take what I'm passionate about and then turn it into, like, a career? And even when I was, like, a kid, like, my parents were always very supportive and passionate about my art. So, like, my mom was like, when I was a kid, like in 2nd grade, she was like, Joy, you've always been such a good kid. You've never drawn all over the walls. Like, you know, so she gave me, like, her and my dad were like, here, you can have this wall in the basement and you can just, like, go to town, paint on it. And I was like, what? So at the time I was in 2nd grade and I was studying, like, the rainforest, and I, like, painted a mural, and then I got the same thing in my closet, and I started painting fairies and mermaids and, like, creating little character designs, and I would always be telling stories and just like being creative about it. So I feel like ever since I was a kid, it was always like I had this passion for storytelling, character design. And then just kind of like as you move through life and you go to school and you try to figure out stuff like, oh yeah, that's what I was always passionate about. So I guess it's just a journey.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Let's
Yeah.
go.
I'd agree with that. It's like it's a journey of. I feel like it's not even just one moment in time that you figure out what you.
Yeah, it's like a growing process.
Yeah, it's like a growing process, but I don't think you ever get to the point to where it's like, that you like figure it out 100% what you're gonna do. Because sometimes you can think that you're meant to do this for like the rest of your life. Like I used to think that I was gonna be a professional basketball. That was all I lived for, and then I dropped out of college because I didn't want to do that anymore, and I didn't know what I wanted with life. I knew I wanted to create videos and stuff, travel, and then now I'm doing podcasting, and then I have no idea where I'm going to be in like 10 years. Like I personally, I don't know if I see myself doing the same things I'm doing now in like 10 years. So I'm kind of just riding the wave of like our like ultimate purpose is to be united with God when we die, and that's it. And when we pass away, nothing will matter what we did in this life besides how we served God. I mean, yeah, we can do like we're supposed to work, we're supposed to do all these things, but ultimately, when you do get to heaven, all that matters is like how you served God in your life. Yeah,
And I think that's cool about being like a creative too, because like you can create whatever it may be, like art related or whatever it is, podcasts, art, like stories, like these things are gonna last. You know, so like what's the legacy that you're leaving?
Yeah.
Because like people are gonna be able to see this and read this and watch this like after you're dead. So you know.
Doing it all with purpose. Yeah.
Are we challenging this quote? Because he said there was the one moment where over here, like, nah, it's a journey. Sorry.
We
Like,
can.
I like challenging.
Are you an Enneagram 8? Are you an 8? Enneagram 8?
I can't
6.
see you as an eight.
Yeah. Okay, got it. I know the 8s are always challenging. I have a couple 8 friends, and they're always like challenging me.
Wait, are
I'm
you
like,
talking about that like number thing?
Yeah, the number thing.
I
Yeah.
had you
we were
take it.
talking
Not the
about this
initial
months
thing.
ago.
What were you?
What?
You a 2?
I think it was like a 4 or something. I
No,
don't know.
you're not
2
a
or
4.
a 4.
I'm
I
a
don't know.
4.
I don't know.
well, they might be in the same
2 or
triad
3
or something.
maybe?
I can't
I
remember
don't
what you were.
remember.
I'd have to like go back. I don't know.
That's gonna be way
Yeah,
too
that-
far
that
back.
would
That
take
was
too
like
long.
that was months ago. I don't know.
Yeah, that was like December.
That was probably like a 2 or
Wait.
3. I think I remember those numbers for some reason.
I think you were a 2.
Yeah.
So
What does
cool.
8 mean?
The challenge.
They're
So
the
I know.
challenger.
Okay.
So they'll always
challenger.
kind of like offer like challenging perspective.
And they're not
very
like
bold.
scared to like
Yeah.
jump
Yeah.
into a situation.
Like
Okay.
sometimes they give a little bit of unsolicited advice, but it's all good. Like my one friend, Cole Tag, if you're listening, he was like, "Hey, I like your podcast, but can I offer a suggestion?" And he's like, "You say like a lot."
I do too.
Well, it's better than
I'm
not
like-
liking something.
And honestly, he was right. Like,
Yeah.
dang it,
like
I just said it. I do say like too much, and I'm trying to work on it. So
it's the nerves.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, anyways, speaking of creativity, I think you guys brought some samples of your art. Can we show off to your camera here? I'd love to see what you got and maybe a little like story behind the art. Yeah.
Sure.
Candace, you want to go first?
Oh yeah, I'd love to. The first thing I'll show is probably the oldest thing of my collection here, but I have quite a few. This is a little bit bigger than maybe the screen can show.
It's like show and tell.
It is like show and tell. I'm just gonna cover my face for a second so you can see it. I'll put it here.
There we go. That works.
So it says the heart of a Pittsburgh runner. So my first job out of school, which is 10 years ago, I've been doing design for 10 years now, 32, was at Dick's Sporting Goods. And within the first 2 years of my my job, I was doing sports marketing, and it was a lot of like print ads and art directing, social media, like anything. It was all that. And my passion was at Dick's Sporting Goods. It was a lot of hunt and fish. So I was working on the Field and Stream brand and everything, and that was like dream job. Loved it. But I had this one side project I got to do, and that was to brand the 2016 Pittsburgh Marathon, from like start to finish, from like when they are at the expo booth the day before picking up their bibs to what's the finish line going to look like when they're, you know, completed the marathon, the half, the relay. So it was really cool to bring my passion for like doodling, which is a lot of like what I do is just like these linear kind of style sketches, and apply it to this passion of like a runner. And what they do whenever they are running is like, well, what they do is like they're running the whole time, but then the 3 hours that you're running a marathon, I could be watching a movie, I could be taking a nap. And so I was just like, wow, this was like amazing. The stuff that they commit to and the passion they have. And I'm not a runner, so this is like, I had to learn this audience and learn what really goes into the heart of making these people run. And so that inspired me to be like, let me just create this anatomy of a heart of a runner, but not just any runner, like a Pittsburgh runner. And being born and raised in Pittsburgh, it was really easy to draw out the anatomy of like what Pittsburgh looks like in this same anatomy of a heart too.
Wow.
So at the top, there's like these, like they cross over 5 bridges within their race. They go through 13 different neighborhoods. These like tall middle buildings are kind of like swooped to the side are some of the like iconic buildings in Pittsburgh. Of course, going through one city. There's 2 shoes hidden within the anatomy. It normally takes an average of like 4 hours. There's what we call the point, which is where our 3 rivers meet, and that's where the finish line is. And then the 3 rivers is where, of course, they get to go over to. So it's really cool to like create this anatomy, but also this was like the brand and the heart of what the rest of the weekend was going to be. So a lot of the, and I can share this with you if you want to share like clips and stuff from the week, but I got to do what the exhibit got to look like when they got to pick up their bib and a bunch of infographics that went with it.
So cool.
And so this was actually at the expo the day before, and there were 2, I screen printed 5 of these, and we had 2 of them for a raffle. And so people got to draw for a raffle, and it was really cool because one of the guys that won it was a cardiologist, and he was running too. So it was just like a perfect thing that he was going to hang in his office.
That's awesome.
So cool.
And so it was just a really cool moment, but it was also a moment that I didn't know that God was planting a seed for me, because at the finish line, when people are finishing the race, I also designed a mural with the same like linear style on black. And it was the city of Pittsburgh that they could take a picture in front of. And it was 19 by 10, like it was huge. And people would finish and like take photos and like just celebrate what they did. Like they hit their goal. And I'm just standing there as a bystander, super creepy, but I'm just observing this, like they're interacting with my designs from start to finish.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I got them to their goal with this enjoyment and excitement past all the nerves. And that's when I was like, I want to design experiences like that. And who knew that in that time from 2016 till now, that God has paved the path for me to design experiences from start to finish to help people with their goals. And that's what product design is. It's just, I'm doing it in a digital space instead of a maybe more print-like space. So that's why this, like, it was probably like the climax of my career, I would say.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's so many other things that God's presented that I know that like that work is amazing. But this is when I was like, yeah, I want to do more of this stuff and bring my illustration into something that's beyond like, okay, you just finished your race, or yeah, you clicked on this button on your phone or whatever. Like, how can I bring those hand done elements into something just to bring more joy? So
How long did it take you to plan that out, by the way?
the heart or the whole marathon?
Just the design of it, like how you mentioned it goes through the city, like through the run. How did you design, like how long did it take you to figure out where you wanted everything to design it like that, like a heart?
Yeah, honestly, not as long as what I thought. I think because I sat down so much to think about like, what can I do about this? And I just kept seeing this anatomy of a heart and the shapes that it was creating. And then I was like, wait, these shapes kind of remind me of, wait, I can kind of see a city here and the rivers with like the way that the artery and the veins like interact with the way the heart is. And you're like, okay. And then there's normally like a bigger like flap here. Sorry for the cardiologists and stuff out there, but there's like there's like pieces of bigger muscles on the heart. And I was like, well, before you know it, I just started like tracing over the anatomy of a heart with like shapes that I saw. But after that, it was just fine line and details, and to get it to where a screen print can pick up, you know, all those details was a little bit of extra work. And that was, well, 2015. It took about a year to brand everything. And with that, this was before Illustrator was very good at live trace. And so I had to hand draw all this and then keep drawing it at good pixel perfect sizes so that when I went to live trace it, it would do a good enough job because it wouldn't do a good enough job. But this is, of course, just like you could tell it's pretty raw, but it's cool because then there's so many imperfections, but that's what I really love about it too.
Wow.
Yeah.
You put so much thought into that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And I mean, as someone who's racing a marathon, how much time they put into training.
Yeah.
I would want to do the same thing for just how do they navigate through that experience too.
That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
I would never be able to do something like that. I'm a creative, but not when it comes to art, like drawing and that kind of art. What's the creative process look like? Like what goes through Candace's head? And I want to know about Joy next, but since we're on you, like what goes through your head when you're creating these incredible pieces of art?
One, I would probably say like what emotions I have, and just being with the Lord in it, and probably asking the Holy Spirit to like, is this something that is like that I'm gonna do? Because praying through like how I want my freelance to be is like I want to do a lot of work that is gonna glorify the kingdom in any way. So I've just been blessed that like over time that I've had more and more clients that are doing things like missional based stuff, or my other project that I've been working on that's in here, that are for like pointing to God in some sort of way. So I do a heart check with it, because there are some clients that come to me and they're like, oh, can you do a logo for me? And then I'm just like, I don't know, right now I'm not feeling like I don't know if I'm the right person for you. And so I always check that there, and that's kind of like I start there. And then honestly, I pray through it before I make the decision to, and I ask like the Lord, is this something I should be doing? And then when I'm going through the process, it's a lot of just tons of research, like uncovering what the end goal is too, but like, what am I learning? I want to become an expert in this field. I want to keep practicing whatever the medium it is. Like, there's so much of like, I'm not just going to whip up something. Like, there's different concepts of like how to gain research through like mind maps and Pinterest boards, like mood boards, and getting just inspired. Like, it's kind of fun to just go out there and be like, okay, what have other people done that relate to this? Or how can I share it in this way? Like, there's so many, it's so fun to be creative in the creative process, because there's no limits or boundaries to creativity when you're trying to come up with the idea for somebody. And that's what I've really loved about it, and spending that time just researching. But there's always a time where I get really excited about something, and maybe you can relate to this, or as creatives, we get really excited about something, and all of a sudden we hit this like creative slump.
Writer's block.
And you're like,
Or
yeah, there's a writer's
I'm a
block.
songwriter, so I call it writer's block.
Yes. Oh, see.
Yeah.
We get a creative block.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
block,
I
yeah.
instantly
Art block.
go down here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know what to do. I don't have any ideas right now, or I don't like my sketches.
This is
like,
awful.
Yes. And I'm like, I don't even know what to do. And sometimes I'm like, well, I'll just, like, I could turn this way and just be all grumpy about it. Or that's when I realize I need to get it in front of somebody just to like get some feedback. And so I brush upon anybody that's around, or especially other creatives, because they'll be like, oh, can I challenge you to do this? Or have you saw it this way? And like other perspectives that I haven't even thought of. And that's what I love about, I mean, everybody's creative in their own way. Like, God's made everybody creative. It's just how you apply it is so different. My roommate and best friend, Cassie, she's an interior designer, but pretty much an interior architect. But we both went to school together, and we learned the elements and principles of design together before we applied it to our different degrees. So it's so cool to even go into someone like an architect who's, I'm just like, what do you think of this art? Like, or this landing page or whatever it is. And she'd be like, are you capturing the emotions the right way? Are you understanding the audience that it's going to be driven for, or whoever it is that you're designing it for? And are you, like, it's kind of like a check off all the boxes kind of thing. And then it thinks about is like, okay, what is the end goal? And then how are you getting them from start to finish? Like, whatever product that you produce, like, are you giving them what they need? And not just the client, but whoever is going to enjoy it too. So,
Yeah, for sure.
I hope that was
so
I'm
good.
better to draw this stuff out. It's not like I have a whiteboard here. I
Yeah.
can just be like,
Yeah, let's do a
one of
full-on
Penis's brain.
demonstration.
Yeah.
I love how you pray and try to incorporate just the Holy Spirit to help guide you through that.
Thanks.
I definitely do that in my songwriting. I actually don't like it when I get motivation for at least for songwriting, because it normally means I'm going through something emotionally. So I try to, I don't want to go through anything emotionally. I'm like, I'm happy. I like to be happy, no drama. But it's like normally when I get like the best songs, it's like when I'm going through something kind of hard, to be honest.
Wow.
I don't know. Is that like it for? Do you feel like you produce your? I feel like I've produced my best. I've produced my best art. When I've been emotionally like, or just gone through like some hard things. That's where some of my most powerful songs have come. I'm just curious, is that the same for you guys when you create art?
I feel that 100%.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like that's why like some of the best songs are about heartbreak too. Because
Yeah.
it's like
It's a
the
quarter
emotions.
after 3.
Yes.
I'm all alone and I need you now.
Brian and I recorded that.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
AKA how
country.
Taylor Swift got famous.
What?
How Taylor Swift got famous.
Is that the song that got her famous?
I don't know. No. Like just over time, hasn't she written a lot of breakup songs?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, she needs
That's
to
like the joke.
settle down. What is she, 35 now
I
or
don't know.
something? But anyways.
Travis Kelce.
Are they still dating?
I don't know.
Okay.
Are they?
I really don't care.
Ask the girls.
I don't
Follow and I don't care
follow that.
either.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could
Okay.
care less. But
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of my art is like tied into like emotional things. Like for me, like as an Enneagram 4, I'm like the emotional one, very like in my feels. So like I take a lot of things and kind of just push it into my art.
Yeah.
So a lot of my art, when you want me to show it.
Yeah. Why
Show
don't
it.
we
Show
see it?
Okay.
And your niche is like Disney, right?
Disney aesthetic for
Aesthetic?
sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But I'll talk, since we're on this train of emotions. This is one that I did, like it's like an original character.
Wow.
So I have this one on like my banner and all of that for my social media, because one of my favorite projects I worked on was I created a webtoon comic, which is basically like a vertical scrolling comic platform that anybody can access, anybody can create something. But I love to write poetry, and I love to do like visual storytelling kind of paired with my poetry. So I've had like so much poetry over the years. So I just was like, I'm just gonna make a webtoon because I wanted to do it. So I started with just like 1 to 2 panels, just like a few illustrations per episode. And then created all the character designs and everything. And it's basically like an emotional story, like with my poems, but with my characters. So it's like, I tie them both together. So like I use that like inspiration of sad poetry and then put it into my characters and have them kind of live out a scenario. But when I launched it, it was pretty exciting too, because like Webtoon kind of picked it up and started. I got like awards for it, which was crazy.
Wow.
It got like 50K views, so like it was just very exciting.
Amazing.
So I don't know. I feel like if you have like a lot of heart and like feeling behind it, then people kind of just like can relate to it. And I love when people comment like, "This is me. Like I feel the same way." It's just like if I can make people feel a certain emotion, and just to like have that same experience and be like, "Oh, I felt like this too."
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah.
that's like such a cool
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
way to do art.
Yeah, and
So-
the details matter. Like,
Yeah.
like the details in Candace's work and yours. Like, I'm like seeing the value in it. It's like like the whole marathon and all the different meanings, or like the emotions from
Yeah.
the different mermaids and stuff.
To have like a deeper meaning behind the art.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It helps you appreciate it and like the symbolism or like the meanings behind it and like what were you feeling behind it. There's always a story behind it. Like we're always
Yes.
like
Yeah, a story. That's,
Loving
That's a good
stories.
way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
cool.
But I
Well,
do that with a lot of my stuff. Like I brought some other
Yeah,
things.
let's see it.
Is there a name for that character, by the way? that you
Yes,
showed?
this is Lazuli.
Lazuli. Wow.
Is that an
Ooh.
actual Disney character, or did you make that person up?
So I do character design too.
Okay, got
So
it.
this is my character.
Sounds like a pasta.
Got it.
A pasta.
Lazuli.
Maybe she does Eat pasta.
Yeah, right.
There
But
you
basically, like the storyline is like she's a mermaid, and then there's this red-winged blackbird character. So the first season I have is just like her and the red-winged blackbird character, and then the next season is like he's actually like he turns into like half bird, half man.
I was gonna say, does he talk? Is it a talking bird?
Kind of.
Oh.
Cool.
But it's kind of like in her dream, and they go back and forth between realities and stuff. So it's kind of fun. So like this one's my favorite mermaid because she's the most like in her feels kind of mermaid.
Do you think Disney's ever going to pick up that story and just create a movie out of that?
That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
That'd be awesome.
You know some of the people that can make that happen, no?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, I do like, I have other mermaid characters that I created. Like I did this project where it was like mermaids with like flowers. I kind of took flowers. I think this was like the raffle something flower. I forget. But it's
what's the
Is that
name
a
of
redhead mermaid?
I think it's brown.
Oh,
But,
brown. They couldn't see the angle very well.
Yeah. But yeah. So then, I
Look
have
at that one.
this one. Ooh.
These are
Do you want me to
all
hold
like
some for
your
you?
own
Yeah,
made up
sure.
characters,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So these are all my character designs. And this is actually my guitar that I put in there.
Nice.
Cool.
So I did this one actually when I was working on my master's program, I was helping teach at Belmont. So we had this project where it was kind of like like a music festival. So I was kind of like showing the students like kind of do a different take on, this music festival. And I kind of just did this. So it had like the festival name and everything, but I just kind of took it so I could show.
Wow.
So
It's so cute.
yeah,
Very
but
cool.
those are some of those. My hair's getting caught.
You want me to
I
hold this?
love that. Look, Candace, such a great helper.
Yes, thank you.
Happy to
I know I
help.
brought so many.
And so I can look at them closer.
But yeah, I also just brought like
Tangled.
Tangled
Is that
banner.
Rapunzel?
It's Rapunzel.
Okay.
I love Rapunzel. Some of these, but I'm like one of my biggest inspiration, other than like sad poetry, is like kids TV shows and
like SpongeBob.
Okay. Don't go there with SpongeBob.
But I just feel like when I was in like an in-between stage of like, do I want to do graphic design, or I don't know if I really like this. Like I was doing a lot of commission work and freelance stuff, and I was like, I really miss like the roots of like my storytelling and like character design and stuff. So then I kind of really started focusing on that, and I started watching the Tangled TV series, Tangled series, and that show like inspired me so much, like back in 2020-ish. It inspired me to just kind of like go after my dream and stuff, because I love it, because I'm like, there's this one scene where like Rapunzel's mom gives her this journal, and inscribed in it says "Plus est en vous" in French, which means there's more in you.
Oh, wow.
And so, Rapunzel's like, she's like, oh, I'm just this princess or whatever, but it's actually like, no, there's more in you. There's like, you have a dream, you can go after that dream, and there's like so much more to you than just being a princess.
Wow.
And so
love
it's
that.
kind of like her story.
Okay,
it's her
Disney.
story. Yeah, it's so good. It's so powerful. The music is amazing. And God is just so cool, because like that story, it was really just like what propelled me to like focus on my art.
Cool.
And then God is really cool because he puts people in your path. And then I was able to like meet the Tangled, the series producer, Chris Sonnenberg, who is just the best guy ever. He's just the nicest guy I've ever met. But he's just been such a like inspiration to me. He's become like such a good close friend of mine. And I've been able to tell him like, you're the one that inspired me to like go after my dream.
Wow.
And really like,
You told him that?
I did.
That's
yeah.
so cool.
So he's awesome. So.
Did he get security? No, I'm kidding.
Get security? 'Cause I was so like,
This is why I have Jack on the podcast to add the funny comments. Oh my God.
yeah. No, but I just
After
love
you
that.
let go of his arm, did he?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But he's been great. He's just like, very encouraging and very inspirational to me just to keep going too.
I love that.
That's
So-
awesome. You get to meet your hero.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally my hero. So
Wow. And you got
Yeah.
some other stuff? Is that like a...
I do have.
Do you want me to hold it, or do you?
Yeah, sure. Thank
Yeah.
you. You're so sweet.
Yeah, the teapot.
Yeah, back to I guess I like to say so I made this when I was in college,
Yeah.
and I did a lot of kind of like graffito art. So basically it's like you throw the pot, So I threw each of these pieces individually, and then you like put them all together.
Okay.
And then I painted like a colored slip on it once it was leather hard. And then I was able to kind of like carve imagery into it. So I put some of like my sad poetry on it. This one says, always sad poetry, but I'm closer than I was yesterday. And then on the back it says, maybe someday.
Okay.
And then I have like little mountains and stars and stuff like that. So when I was in college, like in undergrad, I was really focusing like my theme on, I would call it like a hopeful kind of sad, because I'm like, there's a lot of sadness in this world, but like there's a lot of hope too. So I like having that dichotomy of hopeful kind of sad.
Okay.
Because for me,
A juxtaposition, right?
yeah, like it inspires me. So
It matches your outfit too.
Yes.
All blue. Yeah.
Is that your favorite color?
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Did you have other stuff too, Candace? I didn't want to.
No,
Yeah, we
you're
can
good.
go back and forth.
We could go around, and if
Okay.
we have time, I can share it later. Yeah.
I'm just curious. Like, I'd love to know, like, what's the dream with your guys' art, and then I want to hear about content creation and your dream with that too. But just since we're talking about your guys' art, maybe just like, what's the dream?
Well,
Yeah.
in college, I was like, well, I was in high school when my art teacher, David Boyles, was like, you should be an artist. So I was like, yeah, I totally should. And followed his footsteps of like being an artist. And he got me inspired because he's like, you can design snowboards.
Yeah.
And I was a snowboarder, and I still am.
You're a snowboarder? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Wow.
Yep. There's some mountains up there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
They're just
Oh,
tiny.
yeah.
But yeah, and I worked at a ski shop too. And so I was like, yeah, like, let me just do all the things that focus in that niche area. And I did an internship out in Park City, Utah for a ski and snowboard place.
It's a beautiful place. I love Park City. Yeah.
Yes. And the place is called Ramp Sports. Unfortunately, they're not around anymore. But when I was there, I got to do some different stuff for their website. And then I had the chance to design a snowboard. And I was like, this is amazing. And then once it got they used it, and it got printed for the next 2 years. And I even got it as like a gift. I was like, oh, I just did my dream job at 21. Like, now what? You know? And so I was just like,
going.
I was like, I just didn't even, I don't know if I just didn't dream big enough, or I was like, I'm satisfied. Like, I was satisfied. I was like, I don't even know what to do now. So, I mean, yes, I love the outdoors. So I wanted to do something still designing with the outdoors, and Dick's Sporting Goods helped me with that. And just, you know, it was so cool to be a fisherwoman and also getting to do the ads. Like, it was really cool to be the person on the other side of something you want to receive. It just made it really easy to sell it. So it's hard for me to say that I have a dream for design, other than I feel like I'm just trying to keep up with the Jones of design now.
Okay.
And just explore where else I can go and what else I can do. But yeah, it's hard. It's challenging because my husband's asked me that. Like, other people have asked, like, what's your dream in design? I'm like, I already did it. Like, I don't know what to do now. There's so much. But yeah, I think it's just then whatever comes up, saying yes to something that, you know, I feel like God's opened the door for. I feel like it's that dream then.
And maybe is it fair to say, like, you just love you enjoy the process?
Yeah.
Could that be the dream? It's just like, I just like doing it.
Yeah. Thanks. Maybe I need that, Brian.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I needed this today to help that. Yeah,
Like,
I do enjoy the process.
I don't feel like, and I'm not against like big goals. I'm actually all for big goals that seem hard to reach, but like it pushes you really far. But I also just feel like in some areas, it's okay to like, I just do this because I love doing it. And not having like these high expectations, you know, of like, oh, or this pressure of like, I've got to make it. Like, if you enjoy it, that's okay. Like, I was talking to a friend because I'm a musician, and he feels like this pressure to like make it in music. And I'm like, dude, just enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
It's really hard to make it, you know, in that arena
Yeah.
anyways. But like, if you love it, like, count that as a win. And you know, this individual has a great job and a lot of other great things going for that individual. And sometimes it's just like, just enjoying the process. And I think just taking the pressure off. And sometimes it doesn't always have to be like,
Yeah.
you know, I have to have millions of followers and make millions of dollars off of it. It's like, dude, just chill out.
That reminds me of a story, actually. Have you ever heard, maybe you guys have heard this story, but the kid who walked to school, wished he had a car, the kid who had a car who wished he had like a Lamborghini or something. Then the guy in the Lamborghini wishes he had a private jet. And then the guy in the private jet wishes he had an island or something like that. Like there's always going to be somebody that wants what you have and then you want what somebody else has instead of just appreciating what you have because there's so many people that wish that they had what you had.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Are there better singers than me and guitar players? Oh my gosh, I live in Nashville. Like everyone's a better singer and guitar player than I am. But I like doing it. I don't have to be the best. I find satisfaction, even if I'm in a room all by myself, like playing and singing. Like I get joy out of that. I'm good.
Be the best you.
I'm gonna be the best me.
Yeah, and I think too, like once you take that pressure off of yourself, like, oh, like who's gonna see it, whatever. That's kind of what I was doing with like my webtoon. And I was like, okay, well, I have to plan everything out. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. And I don't care if nobody sees it. Like, I'm just gonna do it for me. Yes. And like, that's when it's cool because it's like, then you kind of see like, sometimes God blesses it. Yeah. You know, and I always was like, well, if I can just touch one person's heart with this, then that's a win for me. Yeah. You know? Then it's like, okay, well, like, and then God kind of help my webtoon grow on the platform. So it's just like a cool thing. You just never know.
And you never know what God's going to breathe on and it blesses and takes off. Like I remember I heard a testimony from Chris Tomlin way back when he was talking about how he wrote How Great Is Our God, which is like one of the most popular modern day hymns out there. And at first he thought it was kind of too simple and just thought it wasn't much and showed some friends like, no, that's great. And it just became God's hand was on that song. And so you never know like what you're doing that you might not think is like, oh, wow. Like, but we sometimes don't even see the greatness that's in what we create.
It doesn't always need to be like, ooh, wow. It doesn't need to be all fancy and shiny.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just like,
something simple.
Just modern society's made it seem that way though. Like, you know, you compare yourself on social media and you see all like, that's kind of where we've driven to at this point.
Yeah, I feel like as creatives, sometimes just take the pressure off and do it because we love it. And obviously, like, pursue excellence. I'm not saying don't, like, give it your all. But just, like, I'm doing this because I'm loving it. And that's how I get in the flow. Like, if I'm loving it and, like, I got the feels around this, like, it's flowing.
Did you go to McDonald's, too, while you were at it?
Yeah. I'm loving it. Hey, maybe, you know, if it's, maybe.
Stole that.
Let's transition to Jack. Tell us like what's going on in the content creation world. Tell us what you're doing there because you're a creative and with video, with photos, with creating reels and shorts. I get inspired every time I want to like run through a wall every time I watch one of your videos. So
run through a wall. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I've never gotten that.
You fire me up, man.
Are you talking about Instagram?
Yeah, on Instagram, I'm a part of your community where it's like,
there you go.
Like every day, you're like, I'm seeing these new content, and then I see you at the gym.
To be honest, that's like my passion project, other than like my podcast. But I honestly really love creating those because it's also been growing a little bit more of a following to where, you know, we're kind of like you mentioned, you get DMs. Well, I've been getting like DMs from people who text me and be like that. I don't even know them, and they're like, I just gained a lot of inspiration from your video or something. Or like the video I posted yesterday, this one girl who's in college commented on the video with like a paragraph about like the video was about working to honor God versus working for earthly desires. And she mentioned how she had been working for all of these different accolades, but didn't realize that she was kind of losing herself in it. And that's just one example, like being able to spread a message, like a positive message just coming from the heart. It's like, I love that. I would if I had to choose everything out of my life to continue doing creative wise, it's very controversial, but I would honestly just choose that. Okay. Like if my Instagram, if somebody said, oh, just focus on Instagram, then you'll get like millions of followers and you can just afford to live. Honestly, I would do that because that's what I feel like brings me the most inspiration, purpose, and like, I don't know, just like meaning to the world. I enjoy it a lot.
So good. What's one thing or one reel or whatever creation you created that not only you proud about, but that it's just it's your favorite story? Like man, this impacted someone, or just what was your favorite experience or one of your top favorite experiences?
Like, I guess, can you clarify a little bit?
Yeah, like what's a cool story behind one of your creations?
Creations as in
Your
Like
Instagram
what's some
reels?
reels?
Instagram reels?
Yeah.
Actually, I guess I can give you kind of the backstory to why I decided to start making content like that.
Yeah, let's go.
It was actually like what I call my come to Jesus moment last year. I was just getting back into my faith, started watching the Chosen TV show, which I know I've told you and you about that. I started watching the Chosen TV show, started getting back into faith a little bit after I fell away for like 2 years. And I was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida for spring break. And had a little bit too much to drink. And long story short, God kind of met me where I was, and it definitely broke me down that night, like completely. Or I ran a mile drunk in downtown Fort Lauderdale back to the Airbnb, like left all my friends there and everything. I was crying for a whole mile and everything. I was on FaceTime with my brother Josh about it. And then the next morning, after hours and hours and hours of crying and talking to Josh about it, and because Josh was on a missions trip, he was in Armenia at the time. And I wanted to ask him, like, what do I do? And I don't remember a lot of the conversation. I remember the result from it because I was drunk, so I didn't remember a lot of the specifics conversation. It was also a little bit traumatizing, so I was like, I don't remember a lot of it. But the next morning I woke up and it was like a whole new world. And then that's when I realized, I don't know what exactly the pieces that came together, but that next morning I realized, hey, like I was trying to figure out what I wanted to post on social media. Like what did I want my niche to be? What did I want to share? And I was like, why don't I just share like my ideas, like the way I live life, about how I like being sober, even though I didn't intentionally get drunk that night. I was mixing drinks and I liked the drinks too much. And then I didn't realize how much I had. So it wasn't like I was a drunkard or anything. But like I don't smoke, I don't drink. I'm a virgin waiting for marriage. But just share like that perspective, that like who I am, and just try to, let people out, because there are a lot of people out there who have the same mindset, and just let them know they're not alone. Don't fall into peer pressure. Because a lot of people go to college now, and the pressure to lose your virginity, to get drunk, to smoke weed, whatever. You don't have to do that. Just because it's considered cool doesn't mean that it's cool to you.
Yeah. I believe the most rebel thing you can do is just get serious about your walk with Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to be the biggest rebel in today's society. Yeah. You go against the grain.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Like
the things of this world.
Just seek first his kingdom and his righteousness.
Yeah. Just
People will think you're weird.
Yeah.
Romans 12:2 all over that right there.
Yeah. Amen. So good. What about you, Candace? Like, what's a piece of art that you created that is there's a story behind it that's your favorite?
Wow. There's so much art I've done with so many stories.
Yeah.
I would say maybe it's the heart to do actually what was in this bag.
Oh, good.
As it's coming up. My husband and I started this little brand.
Oh, it's a baby brand.
It's a baby brand. And it's called Tunice Threads.
Cute.
And
what's it called?
Tunic Threads.
Huh.
And it's biblical clothes to help kids know their identity in Christ.
Oh.
And this sparked whenever and I'll be bold to say this, but like when Target came out like 2 years ago with this, like, we're gonna have these patterns in the boys section and these patterns in the girls section, and it fired us up, and we're like,
wow,
this is not who God made these children to be. Like, how can we reach them at a younger age? And so he's like, and my husband had this idea, and he's a really good with visions and stuff, and he's like, what if we just put David and a lion on a shirt, and then that's like something that they could be identified as, is like, I want to be strong like David, or I want to be obedient like Rahab. And
let's go.
So like our little girls one.
That is really cool.
And so it is just like, okay, I could like keep talking. Like I can get on board with something like that. And then next thing you know, we
I
just
love that.
spend some time like illustrating that stuff
That is
because
so
of like
cool.
this passion of like people need to know their identity in Christ. And
Yeah.
like I wish I would have had things like this, these conversation starters, and or even just pieces that give me this like sense of like, yeah, I might not wear Nike clothes that are bold and say just do it, but I'd rather wear something like this. It says like I have an adult one of this and this like a kid's version, but I'd rather something that's like bold and showing my growth, like this crocus flower does in Isaiah 35. And it's like, why can't we have more of the Bible in our apparel or something? Because people make statements with their apparel, like your adorable boots and stuff. Like you never know where you're in, like crosses on people's necklaces. Like, but what does it look like to actually help create conversation about the stories in the Bible? And can kids do that? So we're trying to play with like different audiences. Like I think these designs are a little too mature for a kid's audience, especially someone in like a onesie like this is probably not going to be speaking about Jesus, but to know that their heart is there in their parents.
Shoot for the
Ministering-
Instagram for the parents.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's like, oh, I want to put my kids in biblical clothes.
Yeah, when I have a baby,
That's
I'm
awesome.
hitting you up for those.
Okay, we're here for you.
Hey.
Yeah, so that's probably like in the story of like, gosh, I wish I would have had this when I was like younger too. And I'm thankful that we have something like this now that and it's just a fun thing for us to do on the side. And we want all the money to go back into just making more shirts for the community and just serving babies and stuff. So
You and your husband are onto something with that.
thanks.
That is really cool.
Thanks. Yeah.
That
Tunic
is-
Threads.
What's it
love
called?
Tunic Threads. So
Tunic
it's like
Threads. Okay.
her logo looks a little bit better on a light color. So it's just like the cross is woven in between the fabric.
Okay.
And the Jesus is the scarlet thread that's woven from the Old Testament to the New Testament.
Wow. Can
So
people buy that? Mm-hmm. Where do we go to buy that?
You can go start on our Instagram, and that's
Okay.
Tunic Threads, and we have an Etsy shop that links right to it. Or you could just DM us, and we'll just make it for you too.
Okay.
You make adult sizes too?
Yeah. So this one's actually an adult. I thought about wearing it today, but I didn't. But yeah, we had this in adult. But I mean, it's not that much harder to make this for a larger shirt. In fact,
Yeah.
I did this for a lady who spoke about Esther. She went all through Esther in like a Bible camp kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she wanted that on a shirt, and so I was like, "Yeah, we'll put it in an adult shirt." So,
That's
I mean, if
cool.
you want to rock David, go for it.
Candace, that was so cool. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
I want to know, like, where can we get your stuff, Joy? Like,
My stuff?
if I want to buy some of the different artwork, or like, tell us, like, where can we find you?
Yeah.
How can we buy your stuff? I've been to your mermaid website. It's amazing.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I set up at a lot of festivals and art expos. I have one this weekend, so that's
Nice.
exciting. So I always post about that on my Instagram, ariajoy.art, where I'm going to be. And then I have my own website. It's called mermaidfriends.com. I like to say it's like Disney fairies, but with mermaids. So I kind of combine like my love for character design and storytelling. And so I have a list of like all the mermaids I've created. And then I have my merch that I sell with their designs and everything.
Yeah.
So I have that. And then I also just kind of have just basic like ocean themed imagery stuff.
Okay.
And then I'm also like, kind of like what you're saying with like, Christian apparel I showed y'all, but like my little coastal faith collection.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll have kind
I'd
of like,
love to see that.
yeah, I'll have like, I have some designs up now, but, and some of them aren't all going to be like ocean themed stuff, but I'll have kind of just like, a space for like coastal faith merchandise on my website.
I love that.
So
Very cool.
yeah.
So cool. And Jack, where can we learn about what you do?
Check me out on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah. Or that's pretty much it. You can access everything that I do from my Instagram.
And Instagram.
Go to my link in bio, and literally everything is in there.
Okay.
Jack
What's your handle?
underscore
Jack
Oh, yeah.
underscore
Youngblood.
Youngblood.
Okay.
Youngblood.
And
Okay.
you,
That's my last name.
Is that really your last
Yeah.
name? All right.
are you on TikTok?
Yeah, I am. I just don't like TikTok.
Yeah, what do
I
you-
post everything on TikTok, but I don't go on the app.
Should I get a TikTok? Like,
You can.
You
My
know,
podcast has
What are your
20,000
goals?
followers on it. So
Really?
yeah, from one video that blew up as 10 million views.
Wow.
Wow.
That was like,
Okay.
yeah, that was literally like 2 years ago. And then no videos really gotten close to that. So.
Have that one pinned.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I do.
Okay. Okay, 9 million. Okay.
It was like our 3rd episode. Now we're 55 episodes
Wow.
in.
Wow,
So,
cool.
yeah,
That's crazy.
Okay.
he's
Well,
catching up.
I'm curious. Like obviously, you guys create something, and you want your audience to feel something. I'm curious. What do you want your consumer, if you will, to experience? Like, what's the heart? Like, what do you hope that they experience when they look at, watch one of your videos or look at your art? What do you want them to feel? It's for everyone.
I feel like for me, it's like I want people to see hope. And like whether it be like I feel like I have a lot of kind of like the hopeful kind of sad, that's what I like to call it. So if I can make people kind of feel like emotions and stuff, like I like to create characters and also just creating like, facial expressions and just like working with like color palettes, you can really just kind of really like evoke emotions. But I feel like for me, it's probably hope.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
I would say God brought Jesus down to us to meet us where we are. And that's all I really want to do with my creations is like, I want to meet them where they are and I want to know their end goal and the end emotion. And I feel like with the mediums that I do and being a product designer too, there are so many emotions that come with that end goal, but I just want to know what that is at that time and make sure I match it. Because then if I'm not giving them their desired emotion, and most of the time it's joyful, it's, hopeful, like you had mentioned, it's uplifting. Because, people do buy products, not just to buy it. They buy it for the feeling that it gives them. Even if it's physical, digital, whatever it is, if it's an app. So how well you know your end user and how well you know the emotions there, what's gonna, then like, okay, then I've made it for them, and it's just to be where they are.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And to kind of piggyback off of that, like I'm also a sales professional and a creative, and really they go hand in hand because sales is like I'm an artist with my words and talking, and it's like I love it. I look at it as art, but really sales, to put it simply, is just a feeling.
That's cool.
It's what it is, and it's like what is the feeling that you're giving someone? Like we're as humans, if you understand psychology, we're emotional beings. And people make sales decisions off of feelings.
Yeah.
100%.
You know what I mean?
That's why people will buy that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what's the feeling that it gives me? Like,
Yeah.
in the bad way or good way. Like, this cigarette to like buying your artwork. You know what I mean? There's so many. That's why people buy the things you do. And you're
Exactly,
using words to help it. And, I'm sure with the stuff as you sell, like you show it too and everything.
Yeah, and to speak to like content creation, like what you do, it's like sometimes the most dumbest stuff goes viral.
Exactly.
Or the
it's
thing-
so sad.
Because you made them laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and then like something that's high quality in my mind, I'm like, how come that didn't blow up?
Exactly.
I
That's got
know.
300 views, and this one has.
It doesn't make any
300,000.
sense.
It's like, what the heck?
Yeah, I don't get it.
But a lot of it, I think, is like the dopamine hit and the feeling, and at least in like when you're scrolling through Instagram and stuff. But yeah, so much of like art and creation, it's just like the feeling. That's what Disney does so well.
Yes.
It's like the feeling
stories, the
of like
feeling,
every girl wants to be a princess, or every man wants to be a knight in shining armor and be the hero, and you want to have this love story. You want to conquer the villain or the monster or whatever. There's just like there's something in that's like innate, and it's all about like leaving like feelings. It's like your baby clothing or the art. It's like how does that make someone feel?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or the
Makes
memories.
it believable. Yeah.
Or it's like I was thinking through your different baby clothing. Like someone takes a photo of their kid, and then 20 years later, we're like, oh yeah, little Jerry. I remember that shirt.
Jerry, where did we get that?
Yeah, he had that Isaiah shirt or whatever. I remember that, and like, oh yeah, that was so cool. And it's just like the memory, and it's like art. Like there's just so many things where it brings you back to a time and like how you felt. And so much of this is all just like feeling, and that's just part of how God made us, like who we're in the likeness and the image of God, and God feels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I jump off that real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm like, I also have these little things. I'm like, when you're talking about like the power of words and like imagery, I make these little messages in a bottle.
Oh,
how cute.
Message in a bottle.
So these are some of like, these 3 words are kind of like my favorite. I have beautiful, loved, and enough.
I love that.
But I have tons of them, and I just kind of create messages in a bottle. But you know, because I love my ocean imagery, and I just love the power of words, and I feel like it's so powerful. Like, so just having like, I like to sell these, and like I like to give them to people and be like, put this by your bed, and like, or like where you're getting ready in the morning, and like remind people, like, or remind yourself, like, I am enough. I am beautiful.
So
I am loved. You know, God, this is who God says I am, not who anybody else says I am.
So good.
Preach.
So
love that.
and I love that. So like,
Yeah.
that's kind of like a side ministry project that I feel like I have, because I'm just like, there's so much power in words.
Yeah.
So good.
And I
Are you
even like,
bringing those to
Especially
your
the
show?
truth.
yeah,
I would.
I
I was
have
gonna
them.
say,
I have a bunch
yeah.
of them, and they all say different things. That's, you know, worthy, like unique, whatever it is. Because I'm just like, you know, people need different things. Like I've given ones to friends that say enough, strong. You know, just put it next to you and like remember, like when you wake up, oh yeah, I am beautiful. I am this.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's why I wear like these bracelets too. I'm
Nice.
like, you know,
that.
this is who God says I am, not anybody else.
Yeah.
Just like having that mindset.
Amen. That's so good.
Power of words.
Let's
Very
go.
That's
powerful.
great. Yeah.
Jack, what kind of feelings do you want to leave your audience?
Not be afraid to be yourself for the right reasons. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you can say, "Oh, I'm being myself," and I just get drunk all the time. But like that, I mean, other than that, but yeah, not be afraid to be yourself. If everyone's telling you that you're weird or boring or whatever, chances are you're probably doing the right thing. So yeah, just not to be afraid to be yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, you do a good job of just being real and
Thank you.
even just
Vulnerable.
mentioning different
Appreciate it.
things
Yeah.
that you know, I don't think people are like to talk about, but you're just like, I'm just going to talk about it.
I love talking about it.
Maybe you do have some 8 in you.
Some 8.
Yeah.
What? That's the emotional?
Challenger.
Or Challenger. Yes, probably. Yeah, definitely.
Or no, wait, were you a 7?
I
think
don't
you
know.
were a
What's
7, right?
What's a 7?
Just the fun, like happy-go-lucky one,
I hope so.
adventurous. I think you were a 7.
You could say
I
that
hope-
you're
I
all the
hope I am.
numbers.
I feel like you were, or maybe that's
Well,
what I said you
adventurous,
were.
yeah, I've
Because then you have
traveled a
the
lot,
8
so-
wing, which would be like
8 wing.
not
Interesting.
afraid and like saying what you think.
Yeah.
And
For some reason, I remember 2 and 3, but maybe 7, 8 too.
maybe it
I
was
don't
like
know.
I was thinking that.
Just
I
all
don't
of
know.
them.
All of them.
A mix of all of them. I was born in June. Everyone calls me a Gemini, so isn't that like what it's supposed to be? That you're two-faced?
I don't remember.
I don't
know
like
that
astrology
one.
signs, but wait, nobody. Usually girls are in
I
astrology.
don't know.
0 for 2. Okay.
I'm in for-
I'm
I'm
just
into
not, I'm not
Jesus.
into that
Yes,
stuff.
we're in for Jesus.
I just
That's a
follow
good
the
point.
Bible.
I'm too used to Michigan. Every girl in Michigan loved astronomy.
No, we're not woke
There
here.
wasn't a lot of Christianity there. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, on that note, any parting thoughts or words before we call it a day?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having
Yeah,
us.
this is
Okay.
really
Fun.
fun.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for being a part of the Created to Win podcast and talking about essentially how can we win with creating content and art as creatives. All right, guys,
Awesome.
let's go. Have a good one.